The lecture hall was massive. It stretched across the length of 3 football fields, with seats arranged in curved rows that rose up like a giant bowl. The Galactic Military Academy had designed it to hold cadets from 47 different worlds, each needing their own special environment to survive. Some breathed different gases. Some needed water misting systems. Some required low-gravity platforms that floated near the ceiling. The air hummed with translation devices, turning alien languages into something everyone could understand. Hannah sat in the human section at the back of the hall. The section was small, just enough room for 7 people. There were only 7 humans in a class of 400 cadets. She kept her posture straight, her hands folded on the desk in front of her. Next to her sat Minho, another human cadet. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with nervous energy that made him tap his fingers against his leg dot at the front of the hall. Instructor Velther was speaking. He was a Korthian, with copper-colored skin and 4 eyes that could rotate independently to look in different directions. Today's lesson was about planetary classifications. We categorize habitable worlds on a scale from Class 1 to Class 10, Velther explained. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing different planets. Class 1 worlds are paradise planets. Perfect conditions, no dangerous predators, stable weather. Class 10 worlds are what we call Deathworlds. Laughter rippled through the lecture hall. It started with the Vryn twins, sleek reptilian creatures from a moon with low gravity. They made a hissing sound that their translators turned into giggles. Then Torg joined in. Torg was a Braxton, one of the biggest cadets in the academy. He weighed 300 kilograms of solid muscle and thick hide. Deathworld, Torg said, his deep voice rumbling through his translator. Such a dramatic name. Any world that produces intelligent life cannot be that dangerous. More cadets laughed. A crystalline being named Lyra spoke up. Her body was made of some kind of living crystal that reflected light in rainbow patterns. It sounds like propaganda, she said. A way to make certain species seem tougher than they really are. Hannah's jaw tightened. Just a little. Minho noticed and glanced at her. He knew that look. They had been through basic training together. They had shared the frustration of being underestimated, mocked, questioned at every turn. Velther continued his lecture, ignoring the disruption. The classification is based on measurable factors. Atmospheric composition, gravity, seismic activity, predator density, disease prevalence, and weather volatility. Only 12 known worlds in the galaxy qualify as Class 10 death worlds. And yet people live there and build spaceships, one of the Vryn said mockingly. How terrifying these worlds must be. The instructor's 4 eyes swiveled toward the human section. Perhaps practical experience would be more educational than theory. Cadet Hannah, would you share information about your homeworld? The laughter faded. Every eye in the room turned to look at the humans. Hannah stood slowly. She was not particularly tall, about average height for a human woman. To most of the aliens in the room, she looked fragile. Thin limbs, no visible armor, no claws or fangs. Just soft skin and dark hair pulled back in a neat bun. What would you like to know, sir? Her voice was calm and professional. Tell them about Earth. Hannah took a breath. Earth is my homeworld. It is classified as a Class 10 death world. The atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, which is toxic to many species here. The gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. Torg interrupted. I have trained in gravity chambers at 1.2 standard G. Your world cannot be much different. Standard galactic gravity is approximately 0.6 G by human measurement, Hannah replied. Earth is what we call 1 G. You trained at 73% of Earth's natural gravity. That caused murmurs. Several cadets pulled out their data pads to check the math. The number was correct. Hannah continued. Earth's surface is 70% water, containing salt and minerals that corrode most non-native equipment. Our weather systems create storms with winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. Our tectonic plates shift constantly, causing earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. But you survive, Lyra said. Her tone had changed from mocking to curious. What makes humans so tough? We are not tough, Hannah said. We are adapted. And we are expendable. The word hung in the air like smoke. Humans evolved competing with predators that were faster, stronger, and had better senses than we did. We developed endurance instead of speed. We learned to make tools instead of growing claws. We formed groups instead of fighting alone. On Earth, humans are not naturally the top predators. We became top predators through stubbornness and violence. The room was completely silent now. Let me be clear, Hannah said. We did not choose this. Our world made us this way, or it killed us. Those were the only two options. Velther nodded. Cadet Hannah has offered to share a personal experience that demonstrates what Deathworld adaptation means. If you are uncomfortable viewing this, you may look away. Hannah's hand moved to her left side, where her uniform covered her ribs. For just a moment, something crossed her face. Not quite pain. Not quite fear. Something older and deeper. When I was 9 years old, she said quietly, I was attacked by a predator. The silence deepened. 9 years old is a human child. Still growing, not fully developed. I was with my family in what we call a national park. A protected wilderness area in the mountains. Some cadets were checking their databases, looking up Earth's mountains. Their expressions changed as they read. Mountains reaching 8,000 meters high. Temperature swings of 50 degrees between day and night. Thin air and high altitude. We encountered a predator we call a bear. Specifically, a brown bear weighing about 250 kilograms. More datapad activity. A predator that large was outside most species' experience. I weighed 30 kilograms at the time. The bear weighed more than 8 times what I did. It had cubs nearby and saw us as threats. It attacked my father first. Knocked him down with one hit from its paw. Hannah paused. Her hand pressed against her ribs. My mother was trying to protect my younger brother. He was only 4. The bear was between us. So I picked up a rock and hit the bear in the head as hard as I could. Torg made a sound like grinding stones. Disbelief, maybe. Or respect. The bear turned toward me. I ran, but not away. Bears run faster than humans. I ran toward a tree and started climbing. I almost made it. Her hand was still pressed to her side. The bear caught me as I was climbing. Its claw raked across my back and side. Right here. She gestured to her ribs. It pulled me down. I fell 3 meters onto rocks. The impact broke 2 ribs. The claw wounds were 15 centimeters long and deep enough to expose the bone underneath. Several cadets made sounds of distress in their native languages. Instructor Velther spoke. Cadet Hannah has volunteered to show you the scar. This is your final warning to look away. Hannah began unfastening her uniform jacket. Hannah pulled her uniform jacket open and lifted the thermal underlayer beneath it. The left side of her torso was exposed from hip to shoulder blade. The lighting in the lecture hall was bright and clinical. It showed every detail. 5 parallel lines cut across her skin. Each line was about 15 centimeters long. They were raised and slightly discolored. The kind of scars that speak of deep wounds and difficult healing. Even years later, anyone could see how deep the claws had gone. Several cadets in the front rows stood up to see better. Then they sat down again, as if ashamed of their curiosity. By the ancestral crystals, Lyra whispered. Her entire crystalline body had gone nearly opaque. Torg said nothing. The massive Braxton just stared, his hands gripping his desk hard enough to leave marks in the material. One of the Vryn twins made a hissing sound. That should have killed you. The structural damage would have been fatal, Hana agreed. She lowered her shirt and began refastening her uniform. Without immediate medical help, I would have died. I lost about 2 liters of blood. For a 9-year-old human, that is close to 40% of total blood volume. But humans have a clotting system, a series of proteins that activate to stop bleeding. It is not perfect, but it kept me alive long enough to get help. She finished sealing her uniform with practiced movements. 400 beings were watching her, but she did not seem uncomfortable. Earth's evolution selected for bodies that can survive terrible damage, she continued. We can lose limbs and survive. We can lose large amounts of blood and survive. We can keep fighting through pain that would stop most of you. Not because we are stronger, but because our nervous system has limits. We can function even when we are badly hurt. Another human cadet, Jisoo, spoke up from her seat. We call it shock. Our bodies release chemicals during life-threatening situations. Adrenaline, endorphins, cortisol. They suppress pain and boost physical performance. It is temporary, and we suffer for it later. But in the moment of crisis, humans can do things that seem impossible. Minho added, every human in this academy has stories like Hana's. Maybe not exactly the same, but similar. We have all survived things that would have killed most of you. Instructor Velthor activated a holographic display. Medical statistics appeared in the air. The human cadets in this class are 7 individuals out of 400. Yet they account for less than 2% of medical facility use. They get injured at the same rate as everyone else. But they continue functioning through those injuries. The display showed comparison charts. Human protocols for injuries that would hospitalize most species for days or weeks. A sprained ankle received ice, compression, and pain medication. Then the human continued modified duty. A cracked rib received binding and pain management. Then the human continued full duty with some restrictions. An insectoid cadet named Brix raised one of its 4 arms. Instructor, this seems unwise. Surely full healing before returning to activity would be better. On a Class 3 or a Class 4 world, yes, Velthor said. But on a Class 10 Deathworld, there's no pause for healing. The threats do not stop. The environment does not become safer. Humans evolved in conditions where stopping to fully recover meant death. From predators, from rival human groups, from starvation, from weather. They developed the ability to heal while still moving, to function while damaged. He looked at Hana. After your attack, how long before you could run again? 6 weeks before I could run without pain, Hana answered. 3 weeks before I could run through the pain. I was doing light jogging at 2 weeks after surgery because I had to stay fit for the youth survival training I was enrolled in. Survival training, Torg repeated. His translator made the words sound like a question. You train your children to survive? Of course, another human cadet, Yuna, replied. Every human child learns basic survival skills. How to make fire, purify water, build shelter, navigate, give first aid. We learn in schools and community programs. Because on Earth, you might need those skills anytime. I learned to treat a punctured lung when I was 12, Jisoo said. We all did. It is part of standard education. The alien cadets exchanged looks. The shared glances communicated dawning understanding, and perhaps fear. Let me be clear, Hana said. Her voice cut through the murmurs like a blade. I am not telling you this to intimidate you or claim I am better than you. I am telling you because you need to understand what you are training with. When we deploy together, when we fight together, you need to know that humans have a different relationship with pain, with injury, with death. She gestured to her scarred side. This happened when I was a child, in a recreational area, on a normal day. It was not war. It was not combat. It was not even unusual by Earth standards. Dozens of people are attacked by bears every year. Hundreds are killed by other predators. Thousands die in weather events, earthquakes, floods. Tens of thousands die in accidents that would be prevented on safer worlds. And yet you have billions of people, Lyra said softly. Your population is enormous compared to most galactic species. How? Because we reproduce quickly and invest heavily in our children, Minho answered. Human reproductive strategy is quantity plus intensive care. We have high infant mortality by galactic standards, so we compensate with higher birth rates. We also have extended family structures that share the work of raising children. Deathworld adaptation, Velther confirmed. Humans are not unique in this. Most Class 9 and Class 10 species show similar patterns. But what makes humans notable is that they developed advanced technology while keeping these adaptations. Most species develop technology to make their environment safer. Humans developed technology, but their environment fought back. It changed the holographic display to show Earth's history. They built cities, and earthquakes destroyed them. They built seawalls, and tsunamis went over them. They engineered crops, and diseases evolved to attack them. Earth resisted every attempt to tame it. So we learned to live with it, Hana said. We build earthquake-resistant buildings and accept that some will still fall. We make flood channels and accept that some floods will exceed them. We develop medicine and accept that new diseases will emerge. We adapt instead of conquer. The lecture hall had changed. The mockery from the beginning was gone. In its place was heavy silence. Instructor Velther said suddenly, "Show of hands. How many of you have personally survived a predator attack?" Hana raised her hand. So did Minha, Yuna, Jisoo, and the other 3 human cadets. All 7 humans. Among the 393 non-human cadets, perhaps 20 hands or claws or tentacles went up. How many have experienced a natural disaster requiring emergency response? All 7 human hands again. About 50 non-humans. How many have received medical treatment for injuries sustained in normal daily life, not training or combat? All 7 humans. Maybe 30 others thought the numbers told the story better than words could. The evening cycle at the Galactic Military Academy was designed for the different sleep schedules of its students. For humans, rest period began about 7 hours after the Deathworld lecture ended. Hana sat in the human dormitory common area. It was a small space, only 6 meters by 4 meters. Small by Academy standards, but the humans did not need much. The environmental controls were set to Earth normal. 1 full gravity, 21% oxygen, 60% humidity, 22 degrees Celsius. It was the only place in the entire facility where they could truly relax. Yuna was doing homework, but she kept looking up from her datapad. Finally, she set it down. You did not have to show them. Hana shrugged. The movement pulled at the old scar tissue. Velther asked, and they needed to see it. The mockery was getting worse. Let them mock, Minho said. He was cleaning his pressure suit in the corner. We do not need to prove anything. But we do, Jisoo argued. She was the youngest human in the academy, only 19 years old. We are the first large human group here. 7 of us. That is unprecedented. We represent our entire species. That is the problem, said Dahan. He was tall and lean, with the careful hands of an engineer. The pressure on us is enormous. We have to be perfect, or we confirm every negative stereotype. We are not the only Deathworld species here, Yuna pointed out. The Brachis are from a Class 9 world. Nobody bothers them. The Brachis have been in the galactic community for 300 years, Hana said. They are established, Proven. We are new. Humans only got faster than light travel 30 years ago. We are still exotic. Still unknown. Still potentially threatening. A soft chime sounded at the door. The display panel showed 3 aliens outside. Torg the Braxton, Lyra the Selkoth, and one of the Vryn twins. It is them, Minho said. His posture tensed slightly. The ones who mocked us. Hannah stood and opened the door. The 3 aliens filled the corridor. Torg's bulk made the space seem tiny. Cadets, Hannah greeted them formally. Can we help you? Torg's translator carried a tone that might have been embarrassment. We wish to speak with you. About today's lecture. The humans exchanged looks. Finally, Hannah stepped back. Come in. Though I warn you, our gravity might be uncomfortable. We can manage, Lyra said, though her crystalline structure immediately began to dim under the increased gravity. The 3 aliens entered. The small common room became very crowded. Torg had to duck his head below the ceiling. The Vryn had to compress its body to fit through the door. Please sit if you can, Una offered. Though none of the furniture was sized for non-humans, Torg settled onto the floor with surprising grace. Lyra stood, her structure distributing the gravity load. The Vryn coiled in a corner. This gravity, Torg said after a moment. You live in this constantly? This is light for us, Jisoo replied. We train in 1.3 G for conditioning. I could not stay conscious in 1.3 G, the Vryn admitted. My circulation would fail within minutes. An awkward silence stretched. Finally, Lyra spoke. We came to apologize. Hannah blinked. Apologize? For the mockery, Torg said. For the disrespect. We did not understand what we were mocking. We thought the Deathworld classification was exaggeration. Propaganda. A way to make certain species seem more dangerous than they are. And now? Minho asked carefully. Now I understand it is not propaganda, Torg said. It is a warning. You are dangerous, not because you wanted to be, but because you had no choice. Your world forced you to become this way. The Vryn uncoiled slightly. I looked up Earth's full database after the lecture. The predator numbers, the environmental instability, the diseases. I could not believe the statistics were real. I thought there must be translation errors. They are accurate, Dayan said quietly. If anything, they understate reality. The databases show known threats. But Earth has unknown ones too. New diseases emerge constantly. Predators evolve new behaviors. The environment changes unpredictably. Your oceans, Lyra said. Her body pulsed with distress. I studied your oceans. The pressure at depth, the creatures, the chemistry. And you build cities on the coastlines, right next to something that could destroy them any moment. 80% of humans live within 100 kilometers of a coast, Una confirmed. We cluster near water despite the risks. We need it for food, transportation, trade. So we build carefully, we monitor constantly, and we accept that sometimes the ocean wins. That is what I do not understand, the Vryn said. The acceptance. How do you live knowing your environment is trying to kill you? The humans looked at each other. In that look was shared understanding deeper than words. It is not trying to kill us, Hannah said. It is just existing. Earth is not evil. It is just Earth. The predators are hunting food. The weather follows physical laws. The tectonic plates move because that is what planets do. We are the ones who chose to live there, to survive there, to thrive there despite everything. But you could leave, Torg said. You have faster than light travel now. You could colonize safer worlds. We are, Minho said. Slowly, but Earth is home. It is where we evolved, where our history happened, where our cultures developed. You do not abandon that, just because it is hard. Also, Jisoo added with a small smile. We are actually quite good at living on Earth now. Billions of years of evolution made us extremely well suited to our environment. Moving to a safer world would be comfortable, yes, but it would also make us soft. We would lose the edge that makes us who we are. The edge that makes you dangerous, Lyra said quietly. The word hung in the air. Yes, Hannah acknowledged. Dangerous. That is what you are really worried about. Not whether we can survive alongside you, but whether you can survive alongside us. Torg's massive head dipped. I will be honest. Yes. When I saw your scar, when I understood what you survived as a child, I thought about what you might be capable of as an adult, as a soldier, and it frightened me. Good, Hannah said. No hostility in her tone, only honesty. You should be frightened, not because we want to hurt you, but because you need to understand who we are. Humans are not the strongest species in the galaxy, not the fastest or smartest, but we are persistent. We are adaptable. We are very, very hard to kill. And when we are backed into a corner, when we are threatened, when we fight for something we care about, we do not stop. She gestured to the 7 humans in the room. Everyone here has survived something that would have killed most of you. Not because we are superior, but because our world demanded that level of survival capability. And that capability does not turn off just because we left Earth. It is who we are now. Part of our culture, our psychology, our understanding of what is possible. The final examination for first-year cadets at the Galactic Military Academy was legendary. It combined everything learned over the year into a single, brutal, 72-hour simulation. The scenario was always the same structure, but different details. A mixed-species squad stranded on a hostile planet, forced to survive and accomplish missions with limited resources. The planet was randomly generated each time to prevent anyone from having an advantage. Hannah stood in the briefing room with her assigned squad of 12 cadets. The group was deliberately diverse. 3 humans including herself, 2 Braxons, 2 Selkoths, 1 Vryn, 2 Kellis insects, and 2 Sparan fungoids. Their squad leader was Torg. The simulation planet is Variant 7, Torg announced. Class 8 Deathworld designation. High gravity at 1.1 standard G-thin atmosphere requiring oxygen supplements for most species. Active volcanic regions. Aggressive native animals. He looked at the humans. Hannah, Minho, Yuna. You 3 will be in near comfortable conditions. The rest of us will be stressed. I need you to adjust your expectations of our capabilities. Understood, Hannah confirmed. It showed how much things had changed that Torg could say this without shame. Mission objectives, Torg continued. Reach extraction point 120 kilometers from our drop zone within 60 hours. Secure and transmit intelligence from an enemy outpost on the route. Maintain squad cohesion with no more than 1 casualty. The parameters appeared on a holographic display. Minho studied them carefully. The route passes through 3 terrain types: volcanic badlands, dense jungle, and river delta. Each has different hazards. We should assign specialists for each section. Agreed, said Lyra. I can handle the badlands. My structure resists heat and abrasion, but the humidity in jungle will be difficult for me. Kellis navigate jungle efficiently. One of the insect cadets clicked. Our sensors work well in dense vegetation. We fungoids thrive in wet conditions, Asparan added. The Delta region is our strength, which leaves humans to float, the Vryn named Vrix observed. Adaptable to all 3 environments. Not just adaptable, Torg corrected. The humans will keep the rest of us functional when conditions get bad. Hannah, I want you on medical duties. Your species understands traumatic injury better than our databases. Minho, you handle navigation backup. Human spatial reasoning in wilderness is exceptional. Yuna, you monitor morale and endurance. It was sophisticated understanding of human abilities, earned through months of training together. The simulation began with a violent drop that scattered the squad across 2 kilometers. The gravity hit Hana like coming home. Uncomfortable for most species, but normal for humans. She activated her communicator. Bravo 7, this is Bravo 3. Rally point is my beacon. Sound off. The responses came one by one. Everyone survived the drop, though several reported equipment damage. They gathered at Hana's position over 30 minutes. The volcanic badlands stretched ahead. Black rocks, sulfurous vents, heat that made the air shimmer. Lyra took point, her crystalline body refracting harsh light as she picked a path through dangerous terrain. 6 hours in, the first casualty happened. One of the Braxons, pushing through heat exhaustion, collapsed in a ravine. Hana was there within seconds. Heat stroke, severe dehydration, possible internal damage from the fall. Torg, I need shade, water, and help moving him. They made an emergency shelter with thermal blankets. Hana worked with the focus she learned from Earth. Assess, prioritize, treat, stabilize. The Braxton would survive, but could not continue effectively. We need to leave him here with supplies, Torg decided. He will be safe until extraction. That puts us at 11, Minho noted. Still within parameters, but we have no margin for error now. They pressed on. The Badlands became jungle as elevation dropped and moisture increased. Temperature climbed past 40 degrees Celsius with near total humidity. Conditions that were merely uncomfortable for humans, but actively dangerous for several squad members. I am struggling, Rix admitted. Labored breathing came through the translator. My respiratory system is not efficient in this moisture density. Understood, Yuna responded. She moved to the Vrin's position. Slow your pace. Breathe in rhythm with movement. Inhale for 4 steps, exhale for 4 steps. It forces efficiency. Kellis are fine, one of the insects reported. We are detecting the enemy outpost ahead. 2 kilometers, bearing 035. The intelligence objective required stealth and precision. Torg divided the squad. Kellis for reconnaissance. Sporans for diversion using their natural spore release that affected enemy sensors. Humans for actual infiltration. Hana, Minho, and Yuna approached the simulated enemy position using pure Earth wilderness techniques. Low crawls through undergrowth. Patient stillness. Exploitation of sensory gaps. The enemy forces were programmed to be tough, but not for Deathworld hunter behaviors. Guards are pattern walking, Minho whispered. 30-second intervals. We can slip through. They move like water through stone. The intelligence cache was secured within 15 minutes. Transmitted within 5 more. The 3 humans extracted without alerting anyone. That was remarkable, Lyra said when they rejoined the squad. I monitored your approach. Enemy sensors passed within 2 meters of you multiple times and detected nothing. Humans are ambush predators, Yuna explained. We evolved hunting by getting very close to very alert prey. Staying undetected is built into our skill set. The river delta was their final challenge. 40 kilometers of swamp, waterways, and hostile aquatic life. The Sparans thrived here, but the water-stressed species not adapted for semi-aquatic travel. 18 hours from extraction, disaster struck. One of the Selkas, crossing a submerged log, slipped into deeper water. The simulated predator, something like an earth crocodile but larger, struck within seconds. Hana did not think. She dove. The water was murky, warm, filled with sediment that cut visibility to inches. But human eyes adapted for underwater vision. She found the Selkoth by feel, found the predator by vibration, and did something that shocked the instructors watching. She attacked the predator with bare hands. It was not bravery or foolishness. It was calculation. The predator was simulated to respond like Earth predators, focused on large prey, deterred by aggressive resistance from unexpected sources. Hannah drove her fingers into what should be sensory organs, struck with elbows and knees at vulnerable joints, made herself more difficult than the injured Selkoth. The predator released. Minho and Yuna were already in the water, pulling the Selkoth to safety. Hannah surfaced last, gasping but functional, a long slash across her forearm where teeth caught her. "Are you insane?" Rix demanded as they reached shore. "That creature could have killed you." "It would have killed Lyra for certain," Hannah replied, letting Minho wrap her bleeding arm. "I had better odds." "Your arm is a scratch by human standards," Yuna confirmed, securing the bandage efficiently. "She will be fine. 30 hours from extraction with 40 kilometers still to cover." The squad was exhausted, injured, operating on the edge of capability. This was where Deathworld endurance made the difference. The humans did not slow down. They seemed to find new energy as conditions worsened. When Torg stumbled with fatigue, Hannah steadied him. When Kellis navigation systems glitched from water damage, Minho switched to reading the sun, moss patterns, water flow. When squad morale cracked under pressure, Yuna told stories. "There was an Earth explorer named Shackleton," she said, as they slogged through final swamp kilometers. "He led an expedition to our southern polar region, one of the harshest places on the planet. His ship was crushed by ice. His crew was stranded 800 kilometers from help. For 2 years, they survived on determination and improvisation. Shackleton brought every single man home alive." 2 years, Lyra breathed. "In polar conditions? Temperatures below -30 degrees. Perpetual darkness for months. Limited food. No communication. They survived by not giving up. They reached extraction with 6 hours to spare. All 11 remaining squad members were mobile and functional. The simulation ended with green status indicators." In the observation room, Instructor Velther studied the final statistics. "Remarkable. They maintained cohesion despite severe environmental stress. The human cadets performed exceptionally. They saved the squad 3 times," his assistant noted. "Medical intervention, infiltration, water rescue. Without them, the squad would have failed." "But they succeeded because they worked as a unit," Velther corrected. "The humans provided critical capabilities, but other species provided their own strengths. That is the point of mixed species squads. No one species has all answers, but together, combining different evolutionary adaptations, different perspectives, different strengths, they become greater than the sum of parts." In the debriefing room, Torg stood before his assembled squad. The massive Braxton looked at each member. "We completed the final examination with a score in the top 5% of all squads in Academy history. This is due to every member's contribution. Every species. Every individual." He looked at Hannah, Minho, Yuna. 5 months ago, I mocked the Deathworld classification. I thought it was exaggeration. I was wrong, and that wrongness could have cost us this mission. The humans in this squad brought capabilities none of us could match. But more than that, they brought understanding of survival that transformed how all of us approach this challenge. He placed one massive hand over his heart in respect. "You showed us that Deathworld is not about being dangerous to others. It is about being dangerous for others. About being willing to take risks, endure pain, make sacrifices that keep your squad alive. That is what soldiers do. That is what you taught us." The squad stood in silence. In that silence was understanding that went beyond species lines. Hannah finally broke it with a slight smile. "You know, there is a human tradition after completing difficult missions. We share a meal together. Real food, not synthesized. It takes longer, it is less efficient, but it is about ritual. Connection. I would like that, Lyra said, her structure brightening. Very much. As would I, Brix agreed. One by one, squad members voiced agreement. They gathered in the human dormitory common area, cramped and uncomfortable in 1G gravity, sharing food prepared by human traditions, telling stories from their homeworlds, building bonds that would carry them through whatever challenges the galaxy had waiting. The mockery was gone. In its place was something far more valuable. Brotherhood forged in the crucible of challenge, tempered by mutual respect, strengthened by recognition that every scar, every struggle, every moment of survival had led them all to this place. Days after the final examination, the Academy held a formal graduation ceremony for first-year cadets advancing to second-year training. The hall was filled with families who had traveled from across the galaxy to see their children succeed. Hana stood with her squad as they received commendations for their exceptional performance. When her name was called, the applause was not just from the human section. It came from Braxton, Selkas, Vryn, Kellis, Sparns, and dozens of other species. They had learned what that scar on her ribs really meant. Not just survival, but the price of becoming someone others could depend on. After the ceremony, Torg approached Hana. The massive Braxton held out one three-fingered hand in the human gesture of greeting he had learned. I have a question, he said. If you do not mind, go ahead. The bear that attacked you, do you still fear them? Hana considered the question carefully. I respect them. I understand what they are capable of. But fear, she shook her head. Fear is what you feel before you know if you can survive something. After you survive it, fear becomes knowledge. And knowledge is power. That is very human, Torg observed. Yes, Hana agreed. It is. Across the hall, Instructor Velther watched the interaction. His 4 eyes tracked the way the squad members stood together, relaxed and comfortable, despite their profound biological differences. This was what the Academy aimed to create. Not soldiers who merely tolerated each other's presence, but warriors who understood each other's strengths and trusted each other's capabilities. A Korthian administrator approached Velther. The human cohort performed well. Should we increase recruitment from Earth? Carefully, Velther replied. Humans bring valuable capabilities, but they also bring perspective that can be jarring to species from gentler worlds. We need to balance their presence to maximize benefit while minimizing cultural friction. They terrify some of the other cadets. Good, Velther said. A little healthy terror prevents complacency. And complacency kills soldiers faster than any enemy. The administrator left. Velther continued watching the human cadets. They were laughing now, sharing some joke with their squad mates. To look at them, you would never know the violence they were capable of, the pain they could endure, the damage they could survive. That was perhaps the most dangerous thing about Deathworld species. They looked just like everyone else until the moment they did not. Later that evening, the 7 human cadets gathered one final time in their small common area. Tomorrow they would be reassigned to different squads for second-year training. This was their last night together as a unified group. We did it, Jisoo said softly. We made it through first year. We did more than that, Minho replied. We changed minds. When we arrived, they saw us as fragile curiosities from a backward world. Now they see us as equals. Some even see us as assets. The bar was low, Yuna said with dry humor. We just had to prove we would not die immediately. And we proved much more than that, Dayan added. We proved humans belong here. In the Academy. In the galactic military. In space itself. Hana listened to her fellow humans talk. She felt pride in what they had accomplished, but also awareness of what lay ahead. First year was just the beginning. The real challenges would come in advanced training, in actual deployments, in combat situations where the stakes were not simulated. "What are you thinking?" Minho asked, noticing her silence. "I am thinking about Earth," Hana said. "About home. About the fact that we carry it with us wherever we go. Not just in our bodies, but in how we think. How we approach problems. How we define possible and impossible. Is that good or bad?" Jizu wondered. "Both," Hana replied. "It is our strength and our burden. We can never stop being what Earth made us, even if we wanted to." She touched the scar on her ribs one final time, a reminder of where she came from, what she survived, what she became. Outside the window, stars wheeled in eternal dance. Somewhere among them was Earth, the Deathworld that forged the species capable of surviving anything. And somewhere in that same sky were countless other worlds, gentle and harsh, that forged their own species with their own strengths. Together, they would face the future, not as competitors, not as superior or inferior species, but as comrades who understood that survival, whether on a death world or anywhere else, was ultimately about standing together when everything tried to tear you apart. The mockery was gone. The fear had transformed into respect. And respect, hard-earned and honestly given, was the foundation on which real partnerships were built. Hana raised her glass in the human gesture of celebration. The others raised theirs in response, each in their own way, united in understanding that had been earned through hardship, respect, and shared purpose. The word Deathworld no longer made anyone laugh. It made them think, made them remember, made them grateful that the humans in their squads were allies, not enemies. And that, more than any commendation or high score, was the real victory.